Дорогие друзья, добрый день.
Dear friends, good afternoon, good evening. Hello. Thank you to everyone who's joined today's webinar related to the study of the Secret Doctrine by the Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Congratulations, because of the start of the new scientific and research season that starts today and will be there till end of the May 2023. Dear friends, there is one more specific event we had, opening of the International Research and Scientific Center, named after H.P. Blavatsky. Head of this center is acting in the field of culture and science, doctor in physics and mathematics, Mr. Sergei Pavlovich Rashupkin from St. Petersburg. The main aim of this International Research Center is the research and formulation of main systems and principles for studying the Secret Doctrine as the basis for new humanitarian and sciences. About 12 divisions of the center are there: natural sciences, culture and arts, philosophy, religion, humanitarian studies, main and additional education, medicine, protection of health, PR, international cooperation, young scientists, as well as predictions and innovations. We are open for cooperation with everyone from the side of our International Research Center. Please come up with ideas, proposals, and we are ready to consider them all. Today at the online class, you'll be able to pose questions related to the research material presented at the class today. So, my dear ones, congratulations because of the new revelation of the season 2022. Today is the 15th of September. So the seminar begins, and the head of Moscow School of Theosophy, Vladimir Vasilievich Yary, will start. Good afternoon, good evening, my dear ones. We'll start our today's seminar from the thought of the day, as usual. The thought of the day makes the universal plan for all of us and its potentiality. It gives us power to understand the meaning. Today's thought by HPB is the following: sacrifice not the weaker child to the stronger, but protect him. And it is a particular thought. It means that if you don't sacrifice the weaker child, that once you'll become strong. So that is the thought. Who are at the high moral position, and there is a pure thought inside us, then earlier or later we'll become strong, and we will conquer our egoistic nature. Today's combination of nidanas is the following, according to this thought of the day. So we're going from the universal to the particular, and according to this thought of the day, when you become stronger, nidanas are combined in the following manner. The era of Aquarius is there, and the nidana of the blue monkey in direction of the space, that is purple, direction of space of Aquarius, where the corresponding constellation is there. It's related to the blue monkey and is going in direction of the space towards the moon, the violet energy, the purple energy. First and foremost, monkey means beauty of thought, or the thinking person, who will be the cause establishing our astral body, the higher combination of skunk or attributes of the personality. In the future, people will have more subtle sensations. The era of fire, the era of the mother of the world, means in advance that people will be able to be aware, to understand, to devise, and to divide. The era of the Aquarius, where we are, is under the ray of Saturn, the mandala of finiteness, and the ray which is there symbolizes synthetic thinking, the green ray. It means that the thought is concentrated synthetically, and then it can transform personality and transform its thoughts and desires into the higher substances. The white dog is opposite to the white dragon, and it symbolizes solidity, individuality. Under the ray of the space of this personality. But we know perfectly that the moon is the symbol of the space, and the purple color means the space of the moon. What is there under the moon? What is happening with the person? Firstly, it shows attainments without limits, and limitlessness means that the person can make thoughts wider according to the evolutionary flow. Of course, the cause is in the white dragon, synthetic thinking. That means the opposite joy for this white dog. So this is the polarity of the cross of life of the century. The opposite side of the cross means the blue ox under the ray of Mars, and the blue goat under the ray of the sun, the orange energy. If we follow further combinations of nidanas, then we'll see here the year of the black tiger, symbolizing birth of the spiritual human being. This energy lets us spiritualize the matter, or the conductors, symbolically it means. The month of the yellow monkey. The yellow monkey is here on the ray of Saturn, green energy, concentration of attention on harmony and beauty, because Nidana, as cause, tells us of beauty and harmony, and the ray tells us of synthesis. So beauty and harmony is synthesized till manifestation of itself, its creative process of synthetic transformation. The week of the blue goat is there, and as we were considering the century of the white dragon and the cross of life of the white dragon, it includes the week of the blue goat. The century has been combined with the week, and the blue goat for the white dragon is the nirvanic condition, wisdom can be there only when Kriya Shakti power is there. And the blue goat holds this Kriya Shakti power, or power of the pure thought and pure altruistic thoughts make us be there for any presence in any world. And there is the day of the blue goat. It empowers the century by the cross of week, by the cross of the day, and once again through the blue goat. It means that the blue goat is the pure thought born because of cosmic love. It means that we should have this cosmic character of our mind, of our consciousness. Today's day, if we consider it, we're in the clash of the blue goat and all goats, but the blue goat, what impedes it to reveal this power of Kriya Shakti? The klesha of lies. It closes it. It doesn't let the pure thought be revealed. It will be transformed. This thought will be distorted, and victory over it is truth. If we are trying to attain the higher truth, then we are free from lies, from this klesha. We are free from it. And we can work, we can get wisdom or be enlightened. So that is the feature of the blue goat. And coming back to the II Stanzas, the second stanza, Sloka 2, I draw your attention to the fact that HPB is drawing our consciousness towards the following. She wants us to get to this occult law from universal to particular points of the thought. So from the universal to the particular, but in the stanzas, we have the question which is important. In order to hear these questions, we should make our mind calm. Why am I saying it? To the mechanism of the meditative character, intuitive thinking, towards understanding and applying things that the stanzas would like to bring to us. So posing the question, but the questions are posed the way our human consciousness cannot reveal in an adequate manner. It's complicated to understand by our state of mind, where we are. We are in illusionary state of mind. Anyway, we don't see the truth, the reality. And as we don't see this reality, we pose attention inside to what we don't know. We don't know where the silence was, where the ears to sense it. No, there was neither silence nor sound, not save ceaseless eternal breath, which knows itself not. Here is a hint for us. If you know something, you won't understand it. You won't even allow that in your brain. You won't assume it. So inside, you should be aware of your ignorance, and this way you can liberate your mind. That is where the second stanza, Sloka 2, starts and explains specifically the state of mind in its real state. There is no silence, there are no ears to sense it. No silence itself as it is. There is nothing like that because it's emptiness. And that is why in Buddhist works, it's always said that we should try to be aware of this emptiness, understand it, but not by our sensations, external ones. For us, it's unknowable. It's the absolute, with its absolute character. Here is where we start to understand that, yes, we don't know anything. There is just a plain sheet of paper, and only intuition can tell us what be revealed there. So the intuitive thinking is on, and that is where the real spiritual consciousness is awakened. It starts to work only when you are empty, when your bowl that has only formality, or the form, the shape of the bowl, it becomes empty, or it's ready for perceiving reality. That is how HPB by this stanza brings us to firstly contain or imagine universality, or everything that's universal in its substantial character, in its transcendental character. That's the empty state of everything contained in the substance, which we'll have to understand, to know, and what is contained there is universal. And our consciousness, according to the mind, is empty, is ready to bring inside this knowledge as a vacuum. And what is there that it drags in? First of all, it's power, reasonable power that is present in potentiality in this inner emptiness. There is potentiality, and this potentiality is what we should bring to numinous, nominal character, to the image that has no name, that doesn't have a name, because that is the state where mind and thinking capacity cannot give anything to it. There is only the state of sensation. The intuitive thinking. And now Let's put it like this. Going from universal to the particular, that is the most common law, we should calm down our mind and try to understand the emptiness. In other words, the inner human being. For us, his emptiness, because we don't hear the voice of silence, etc. We don't hear it. There is nothing like that inside. Nothing like that for us. It's there, but we just should hear, see, and sense it. For that, we need intuitive thing.
So we go from the general to specific, and we achieve the state of meditation. What do we need for that? And then the teachings tells us the following. For this, we need to be humble. What is being humble? For this, we need to be in peace. To enter the state of peace, and this state is the state of the white page or white disk on the black background. We are humble. So we got in peace with what? With the fact that we do not know anything. We forgot everything. And we need to remember. And this remembering goes hand in hand with the awakening of the spiritual energies, which is spiritualizing of the intellect. Because the intellectual capacities, we do have them, yet they are manifested in our thinking process. We can think about different matters, different subjects, and according to all the theories that we apply to life by this manifested illusionary world, and we coordinate our consciousness with the forms that we can see with our eyes and the forms which we work with our mind. But to ponder, to meditate, we need to spiritualize our intellect. And it starts from the phase where we achieve humbleness, when we get in peace with the fact that we are ignorant. Then we acquire the strength. It's like the jar with a vacuum. When it pulls in the knowledge with the cognitive capacities, our strength of cognition gets stronger, and we strive to this knowledge. And it is very important not to lose this impetus, because only this impetus, this aspiration, lets us to be humble, to become loyal to the absolute truth and the mediators of this truth, to hierarchy over the conscious strengths which are potentially in the spiritual world, which is consciousness, the mind, strength, or our capacities in our mind to manifest the spiritual strengths, to discipline our conscious willpower. Our willpower should become consciousness. And that's what's happening when we enter through this recognition and devotion, the veneration. We achieve the state of the student, the humble student, and we acquire the possibility to develop ourselves, to become disciplined. We can concentrate, we can focus, we can contemplate, because this stanza only may be understood by contemplation, which provokes the sense of knowledge in us, of this necessity of our reality. There are many words, but as a matter of fact, we just achieve the clear understanding. I have been reading Secret Doctrine for a long time, and every time I come to a conclusion that the cosmic person is in us. We just need to follow the planes of existence of Genesis. All these planes of Genesis are Maya, the great Maya. It was created by the eternal breath of life. This ceaseless eternal breath, when the inhale happens in pralaya state of mind, or the rest when everything is and nothing is, the state of emptiness, as it might seem from the person point of view. But in fact, there is the full, and the consciousness is in the diluted state, the state before, just right before the inhalation. We need to capture the state, this momentum, but never capture it because we are not aware of our respiration. It is something we are used to. We do not pay attention to it. Yet there are phases between the inhale and exhale, and between them there is the spirit out of any forms, this prolaic state between the inhalation and exhalation. It passes, and then there is an inhale. What inhale provides us with? It gathers according to the necessity, I would say the cosmic house or the eternity itself. It is necessary to inhale with the new combination of elements, because the process after this prolaic state, the process of a necessity of life, and inhale awakens, I'd better say magnetizes or creates a magnet, the magnet of the new life, according to this inhale. And all the combinations that were dissipated in the space of the universe, all of a sudden, they start to magnetize and combine in the shape of Maya, of the great illusion. It is the necessity. Why? Because the life lives by potentiality. First of all, of the absolute consciousness, where we have three, cognizable, cognizer, and cognized. This triad is there in unity. So why the Maya is created there? Maya is the veil where the Para-Brahman is, in this eternal veil, which is called the plane of archetypes. And up to this point, Maya is fully created with the veils called in Mula Prakriti, the soul. These veils are in themselves, they carry, just as the circle with the point inside, the one element where the potential universe as a point inside the circle. The future universe is concentrated there, the sun. This future universe already carries the strength of forehead or the sun, the illusion, which first of all is based on the key point where the eternity turns into the potentiality of time. And noumen of this time becomes phenomenon in the manifested universe. All the consciousness depend on time, where karma came from, the human karma, the karma of the consciousness of the human being. As soon as phenomenon occurs, the time becomes the master and the teacher. And in order to leave this state of the slave of time, we should recognize, understand the essence of the cycles of time. And only by being humble we can do it. When we have peace inside, we acquire the possibility to spiritualize our intellect. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for the lecture. Today we are in this particular thought of the day and wonderful nidanas, the repetition of the energy, the cross of the day and the month and the century. And now I just realized while Vladimir Vasilyevich was talking that when we go inside this material and start to make this concept live, we are in the meditative state of mind because we are concentrated and we are following the thought which these manifested notions express. And when we follow the thought, we are inside the meditation. I had this feeling. So thank you very much for letting us in this wonderful state. Thank you for the clear explanation of the material of the Sloka of the second stanza. So now we will try to look into the material that we've prepared for you. And in the process of preparation, we've had several ideas that got manifested in the key moments. What are key points of this particularly difficult material as the Secret Doctrine is the manifestation of unmanifested into manifested. How can we tell about something we cannot hear nor feel? How can we tell about something which is not there, yet which it is? And this point needs particular concentration and penetration. When the idea starts to capture these points and express itself so that the shape or form of your mind, because we live in the mind, the world of forms, where our mind can capture these forms and inspire our consciousness by them, which inspired by expiration gets free. So today we will try to clarify several notions that Elena Petrovna Blavatsky provides us with in these comments to the Sloka. We'll try to explain what are these notions, which is the idea behind them, and we'll try to answer the questions that you asked by II Stanza. Maybe the answers will be unexpected, yet since we have realized these interesting points, we would like to share our ideas with you, and we wish you concentration and inspiration to hold on till the end of the seminar. Please stay tuned, stay with us, ask your questions, and we will be ready to answer this. So, where was silence? Where the ears to sense it? No, there was neither silence nor sound, not save ceaseless eternal breath, which knows itself not. Here there is the question, where is the sense the ears, to sense the silence. And we ask ourselves, how can it happen? Can we sense the silence with the ears? Maybe in principle, it is something that cannot be felt and heard by the ear. Let's try to understand these concepts that HPB provides us with in the Sloka and try to determine them according to the planes of Genesis. Because the system is great to systemize and concentrate our mind independently on which sloka we are talking about and which concept we are talking about. We can define the key points of each sloka. So let us have a look. Silence is the plane of the gods, is the second plane of the spirit out of forms. The plane of prototypes, Akasha, it's where the sound occurs. And the ears is the planes of creation, the capacity of hear this sound. Yet in Pralaya, we do not have sound nor silence. There was no silence. Why? Because there was no sound. There was no silence. Why? Because there were no ears to sense it. There was nothing but for the ceaseless eternal breath, which knew itself not, which means that the universe was in slumber. And in order to wake up or to manifest, when Manvantara was ready for what we call existence, there was only eternal breath. It is indestructible because it never stops. It starts as the absolute breath and then becomes divine breath. This divine breath gives impetus to the vibration of the sound, and the sound occurs, the word, the hearing, the ears, the speech, and the capacity of hearing that this sounds in all its manifestations. Then finally, the person, the human being, appears. After the absolute breath becomes divine and gives impetus, it goes back to the absolute. Because the cosmogony goes through a particular way, which is evolution, which includes evolutionary period. That's why something finite cannot understand infinite, as continuity is never disrupted. The eternal breath starts and becomes divine and goes back to the absolute, which means the breathing of the one existence is continuous and not disrupted. Let us have a look what is the spiritual aspect of cosmogony, which goes out of these notions. Let us have a look at the planes of being, of Genesis, where there is all. Its reflection, its densification and transformation into forms, the material aspect of cosmogony, which is the movement or the motion, the separation of infinity. The infinity does not know itself. Why it is said knows itself not? Because there was no consciousness, there was no object which could separate this unity. This one ceaseless breath was not divided into inhale and exhale, manifested. There was no consciousness. And the one who could separate this infinity was not yet born. The separation to manifested and not manifested, everything was united. What is the absolute consciousness? It is the state when everything is unity. When the day starts after Mahamantara, HPB starts it, the day be with us. And then Mahapralaya starts, when in duality everything becomes one, yet everything creates itself at this moment. Sloka II Stanza 2 defines the number 4, sum. And the Secret Doctrine attributes a lot of concepts to the number 4. For example, Lipicus. Lipikos, or 4 recording angels according to HPB, or 4 Maharajas who record every thought and every action of a person, out of which in the future the individuality is formed, which is aware of itself after the day of being with us. You see, what is with us, for us now is unconsciousness will become a part of consciousness. This thought is striking. This thought was picked as the key point of the second Sloka, second stanza. What is unconsciousness for us now, what is described in the Sloka, finally will become the absolute consciousness, because Lipikos, they record the spiritual and it becomes the material aspect, just as the eternal breath corresponds to the notion of Parabrahma, which becomes the motion, indestructible, ceaseless, eternal breath is limitless, is not known and not recognizable. It is infinite and limitless. And for self-knowledge, it is necessary that consciousness and recognition be recognized and realized. Both of these abilities are finite, limited in relation to everything except Parabrahman. And that's why the ceaseless, eternal breath, which knows itself not, because these limits, they relate to everything but for Parabrahman. Parabrahman is a Vedic term which means supreme Brahma, the supreme and absolute principle, impersonal and nameless. And it referred to in the Vedas as that. It means that does not have any gender. It is something abstract, something that unites. It is not something that separates. This something unites a core entity which is not changeable, it is not cognizable, but it is clearly sensed by our spiritual nature. Here there is a hint that even this supreme Brahma, a supreme and absolute principle, may be sensed by our spiritual nature. And a further concept, if we move forward from this idea to the concept, if the spiritual nature is everywhere, if it is eternal, just as the abstract state, abstract space, we should have emanated from it. And at some point, we should be back to it. All the rest is easily understandable. All this thought, if we understand just this, all the rest is very easily understandable. If it is, we should have emanated from this. If there is the absence of form, so there is form which comes from it. Parabrahman is the supreme and absolute principle or supreme entity, the prior reason, the universal spirit or absolute. The absolute is the reason which clearly exists, and this is the active reason. Yet the only eternal and living reality, the highest spiritual essence, supreme spirit or Paramatma, is the soul of our soul, the fundamental principle of all things and phenomena, all pervading and all present. Everything that exists is its manifestation. All the existent phenomena are the manifestation of Paramatma. So we may talk about that HPB in this sloka, in this part, explains the notion of Paramatma. If that is, we all came from it. It means the unity. It means the unique supreme nature of all the humanity. See, all pervading and all-present. In Upanishads, Paramatma is described as the supreme immortal self of all beings. And they talk about it in this musical rhythm, and different epithets are attributed to all-pervading, almighty, which does not have any sound, any speech, any vibration, spotless, unconceivable, undescriptible, not acting, non-destructible, not being born and not born to die, transcendent towards the previous incarnations. This music is wonderful and genius. This is the spiritual music that you've just heard. It does not get born and does not die. It is something transcendental towards the previous incarnations. Basically, here we've heard the task for the human evolution, what the human being should achieve when it becomes the seventh or the God. It should become transcendental towards its prior incarnations. When he will be able to incarnate in its own body, and inner Atman will become the external Atman. The Atman is described as the active, perceiving sense objects, experiences, emotions. Upanishads also describe that Atman, which is in his heart, also captures all the existence. It is very interesting. We have the whole mystery, the description of what is inner Atman. It is smaller than the millet kernel, yet bigger than all worlds. In only this phrase, we may understand the emotion which the inner Atman may experience. It is smaller than the millet kernel, yet bigger than the whole world. Here is my Atman of my heart. Here is the Brahman, which is the only spiritual entity of all the beings, Paramatma, which is out.
How could it have been understood by mind that the notion of the inner Atman is the spiritual essence of all beings, and it is not there in them? The answer to this question, when everyone asks it to itself and answers, then in meditative quality of thought right now, in this second, this person has understood the essence of the inner Atman. The subtle essence cannot be perceived by sensation. That is the basis of all existent. That is Atman. You are that. Bhagavad Gita says that although Paramatma seems to be divided among all beings, yet Paramatma is inside beings and outside them, far and near. He is moving, but at the same time immobile, incomprehensible due to its subtlety. Paramatma at the same time performs the role of a witness to the activities of living beings. If Paramatma is the only and eternal reality, the cause of this reality is the acting cause, it's pradhana. That's what we were saying about the inner Atman from Bhagavad Gita. Actually, that's description of continuous work on yourself. How a human being can reach the state of purity, the state of the single spiritual essence. About when it happens, when it's inside beings and outside, it's far and near, it's moving at the same time, immobile, and it's incomprehensible because it's subtle. You can imagine how the human being can be when it's necessary, be as subtle that it will be incomprehensible. Then it will be not possible to apply many emotions to these probably negative emotions if there is no form and there is subtlety because of that. And Paramatma makes it possible to function as a witness. We are reading that we should be as witnesses towards our life of our close ones, and all external essences. In the book of Teacher, it's said that you should become this witness. It's related to you because this internal one is too subtle, is outside the form, it's incomprehensible, impossible to touch. And when everyone can reach this state, that will be the seventh race. So the acting cause of pradhana accommodates the material and ideal cause. Pradhana is at the plane of Mula Prakriti, Akasha, which is the root of matter or the primary matter. But if there is the active cause, there should be material cause. And right now, we are mentioning Upadana, that is the material cause. And it cannot be discussed. It's as high at the planes of being. You can see where it is. And what do we need so that all these causes act? Upadhi we need. What is Upadhi? Upadhi is the basis, is the limiting substance, conductor, carrier of something less material than itself, like the body of a person is the Upadhi of its spirit. Ether is the Upadhi of light. Let's see once again how all causes are in the system, emerged there. Causeless reason, the root cause, the cause is valid, material cause, like that. There are four in one before the material and formational plane. They go into the first form. Upadhi is that through which the force acts. The word guide is sometimes used to express the same idea. If force is regarded as acting, then matter will be the Upadhi through which it acts. For example, let's bring such an example. The lower manas is the Upadhi through which the higher manas can operate. The second one, Lingasarira, is the Upadhi through which prana can operate. And thirdly, Sthula Sarira is the Upadhi of all the principles operating on the physical plane. Then the lower manas, the higher manas, Sthula Sarira. You can see here how they're all emerging the higher manas, Linga Sarira, through Upadhi. Prana is operating Sthula Sarira, that is Upadhi of all principles. They've all come into one. It's the sevenfold principle, and it means when three fall into four, then the consciousness appears. Let's say several geometrical ideas when three fall into four, and the sevenfold essence that emerges is correspondent to the seventh aspect of individual aura. It can get the shape of the body and is radiating higher self. The triangle or triad falls into four lower principles, and the same way the Evgoid, a Vedic notion of the highest self, is shining. That is the way the higher aspects can give the shiny aspect of creative energy, divine fire that is manifested as Akasha. Consciousness presupposes limitations and definitions. Why are we discussing it right now? We've mentioned Evgoid, and now consciousness presupposes limitations. What is limitation? When we make presuppositions, then there are limitations. Firstly, it means something to be aware of. And secondly, someone to realize this something, to be aware of this something. And the third one is self-knowledge, the highest aspect connecting the three to something, to understand this something. And when all from first to the seventh are connected, then it's dynamics of revealing this in a human being. So here is the equal animation of revelation of the spirit or the spirit of individual aura, and the seventh aspect in the human being. The absolute consciousness contains the cognizable thing and self-knowledge. All three are in it, and no man can be consciousness or conscious of more than that part of his knowledge which is called forth by his mind at any given moment. But we cannot distinguish between knowledge which we are doing and thinking of and knowledge we cannot cause in our memory, which we cannot recall. That is the highest idea. I will repeat once again that there is no term to distinguish between knowledge which we are not thinking of and the knowledge which we cannot recall. Different things. Because when we recall the memory, then the seventh aspect of individuality starts shining, vibrating, emanating. It starts transforming and transmutating. All bodies start merging into a single being. And at this very moment, the person becomes self-consciousness. The spirit awakens, and our spiritual ball starts shining. This person has the greatest speed of thinking, creative powers, etc. Probably such persons can be met by some of us, especially children. So there is something contained in this element. What is it? What is it? The space, and the space is unmeasurable in all meanings, coexisting with eternal state and indestructible matter, is the absolute unstoppable motion, which is the breathing of the single element. The single element that's been shown by one blank sphere, we can see how the eternal elements been changing, and this motion is on. So that is unstoppable motion of the single element, of the united element. So we can define the three constant moments. Firstly, there is infinite duration that coexists with space and primordial and destructible matter. Secondly, there is a single eternal element, space outside dimensions, as it said. And the third moment is the perpetual movement, which is the breath of the single element itself, or the absolute movement. Breathing never stops, even during the prolonged eternities. And let's see how the first can be related to the second and the third one. The second eternal element is connected to infinity and motion, and the third one connected to the first and the second one. And as they all come together, have merged together, there is nothing to be merged. So that's it. And the single element is there. The three have become one. And this merging of the first one and the second and the third one, the second and the first and third, and the third and the first and second is stopped. It's all revealed. It's all stopped. And the further combinations can potentially create new shapes and understanding of shapes. It means that the single element can create further combinations and its new forms of its non-form. So let's see here, according to the planes of being, how it is. The first plane is the infinite duration, the second plane is the single eternal element, and the third one is the perpetual movement. So here are the three higher planes of spirit beyond forms, they've combined these three moments of Sloka 1, Stanza 1, all substances of new elements because of these elements have been in evolution towards the single element. The breath of one existence does not refer to one causeless cause of all being as opposed to all that is, which is Brahma or the universe. Who is Brahma? Brahma is the God with four faces. And what does it mean, the God with four faces? The cause that can contribute to manifestation, but it's not ideal though, because this Brahma with four faces gives birth to forces that will create, because these forces will be the real cause at the material plane. So HPB defines the notion which is understood as Para-Brahman and Brahma. So therefore that Para-Brahman, this Brahma. Then there is Upadana, self-knowledge. Upadana is the material cause of Pradana that contains both spiritual and material causes. And Paramatma is often used as a synonym for the word Atma. Pradana is recognition, unforging, disclosure, penetration into the essence of anything. All self-knowledge and recognition are both faculties limited in relation to any subject other than Para-Brahman. That is the interesting conclusion we can come to. The self-existent is the absolute divine essence, but to the limited senses, it's unconsciousness or immobility. Let's see how the unconsciousness of the absolute consciousness is there. The second one is unconsciousness, and the third one is our consciousness. Our consciousness is not a kind of consciousness that is able to distinguish one from two, because every person has the power to get the true knowledge, the power to penetrate the truth, the universal and the eternal, and its own experience by basing on inner power. The person can come from the universal to the particular and not be afraid. But what is it that gives the power not to stay away from the path? In Sanskrit, there is such a word that can be described as satyagraha. Satyagraha means satya as truth and agraha as perseverance, to hold fast, to hold on to truth or the power of truth. Satyagraha is the ability to grasp the truth and keep it, to hold on to it. There is also the power of Shakti. Shakti is the female power that gives us capacity to hold on to the truth, the universal mystical power, the female power, because it has the power of fertilizing the spirit. She regulates the behavior of all sons born from her womb. And here in the second sloka of the second stanza, in Mahapralaya, we can mention the unity, and let's see how this idea can be revealed in Kala Chakra wheel. The power of Shakti that has its single cause of emerging. Relating to Kala Chakra, Sloka 2, Stanza 1 brings us to the principle symbolized by the red dog. The red dog is Adi Shakti, or the single power of Shakti. Sloka 2, Stanza 2 is the fourth sector of Kala Chakra, which is related to the plane of prototypes of the womb that gives birth to sons. Of the Nidana of red dog, Adi Shakti is finishing this sector. It's the symbol of spiritual individuality, finishes the fourth sector, gives the first formal shape for implementing the sun's power of Shakti. And there we go into the sixth sector. Let's see, that is the second shining of divine mind, divine wisdom, yellow one, which also corresponds to the second sloka of second stanza. So the astral light is there, which corresponds to the formational and material plane. The black dragon Parashakti, the black snake Parashakti, and then the blue goat, today's day, the principle, the red monkey, Kundalini Shakti, the power of attraction and repulsion, the red rooster Mantrika Shakti, and the power of letters, speech, and music, which is the sound and hearing. Let's look at the Karala Chakra sectors, the idea of potential power. And let's see the thought of potential power. The fourth sector is there, the plane of prototypes opposite to the 10th sector. 10th sector of Capricorn. Let's see that is the third yellow sector, or the third light of the divine mind, Buddhi, divine wisdom. Therefore, fertilization of the spiritual power, potential power, becomes the real power, the same rope to the promised land stretched by the suns. It is in the sector of Capricorn, and it's the impulse or reason for the phenomenon given by Adi Shakti. It also gives the cause given by Adi Shakti Nidana of the red dog, a single force. So the ability to grasp and hold on to the truth appears when fertilization of the spirit occurs, and the spirit takes shape and becomes matter. And then the voice of silence begins to sound with the divine wisdom of Buddhi or light, illuminated by the mind with the potential absolute power of the divine mind. Why is it happening? It's because in each of these six primordial beings, limitless power is present in all its entirety, but only as potentiality. It was given to them in the image of paradigm in order to be present in them in all its essence, glory, greatness, and content. Only in this way could they become like the power that gave birth to them, eternal and infinite. After all, if these beings were not brought into line with the image, their potentiality would never be able to become real power and would never begin to act, but would simply disappear as unnecessary. Therefore, they must become a complete likeness, otherwise they could not become the real power from the potential power if it were not a complete likeness. So the key point of Sloka 2 from stanza 2, it considers the potential power. The transformation of the inner man, human being, which corresponds to the number 4, is the single goal of all true teachings. By the way, the high spirits don't need any mechanical techniques and physical exercises. Therefore, no high Raj or Agni yogi needs any mechanical or physical exercises. The single concentration allowed by them is concentration on the chosen higher ideal in a steady and incessant striving to rise to it, to reach it. And such concentration continues non-stop. No matter what such a yogi or disciple does, his thought persistently sticks to his ideal. Everything is done by him in the name of the image he has chosen. Here is the true concentration indicated in the esoteric philosophy that studies only the inner world, the world of nominance.
Потому что эзотерическая философия изучает лишь внутренний мир или мир ноуменов. Давайте попробуем рассмотреть.
Let's try now to consider how this can happen.
Сам образ
Or the
концентрации.
image of concentration itself. The spirit, which corresponds to Atma or light, voice that corresponds to Buddhi or sound, word that corresponds to manas or numbers,
Дух отображается в водах
The
пространства.
spirit is reflected in the waters of space, a still undifferentiated matter of the future universe, which is why the surface of the waters is covered with ripples, first waves of differentiation and homogeneity of primary matter. This is the voice, the precursor of the word, or the first manifestation, and from this voice comes the word of Logos, a definite and objective expression of what still resides in the depth of hidden thought, what is reflected in space and in Logos 3. And this is the reason for action. That's it. And Helena Roerich in Infinity Books writes that the eternally moving, eternally striving, eternally stretching upwards, eternally showing vigilance. That is the armor of infinite beauty, striking the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, when this full reflection takes place, we can strike the darkness of our own ignorance with our light. And Helena Roerich is writing that the breath of the cosmos is indestructible in everything. Manifestation of planetary periods depends on cosmic waves. Therefore, those who deny the connection of the spirit with cosmic whirlwinds don't tread the path of knowledge. And this path is predefined in our karma. The Creator and His creations are constant progress in cosmos. Agni Yoga also says that powerful all-encompassing cosmic force or fire acts in the world space. And Helena Roerich writes of people with this fiery energy that makes us higher by movement, and they're in this element of the spatial fire. You can look at them and you'll always find the power of fire. It's actually they who move the world, and that is the potential power that moves the world, having this inner fire from initial spatial fire. That is what Sloka II Stanza 2 mentions. But who is mentioned here? Who is it? It is they, through the high logos and the general reflection, show loyalty. And that is why this loyalty is mentioned here. You should contain it always, and it will be the full reflection and similarity. When they hear this mystical sound in this state of fire, they are filled with energies. This initial energy is boundless silence, the calm mirror of God, the receptacle of the vital quintessence of all aeons is set in motion by the full-heart word, the divine thought. At the start of every manvantara, this start is given, this impetus is given, and it can contain infinite number of beings that will be revealed as lived being in the future, and that is the ocean that has unexpressible power, unexpressible by words, and it is silent only for our physical self, because it's impossible to describe it neither by word nor by writing.
So, this phrase that it is not possible to be described by the weather of mortal. The immortal feels this felt. So if the word was in the beginning echoing and gradually slowing down the vibration of a substance, the word establishes the whole of the spirit where it can accommodate it by smaller human consciousness. You see how this white star moves through the planes. It moves toward the human being to provide him with the opportunity to respond to it, even more, to shake off the dull stupor into which he has plunged, and to make him able to hear and to understand this word of the God. He should shake off the dull stupor into which he has plunged, and make him able to return to his creator as soon as it is provided for by the evolutionary plane for the seventh subrace. This word consists of two parts. It is the creative word and positive and negative, sound and silence, male and female. For the law of polarity governs the universe of the four lower planes which manifest from the eternal Trinity. So now we are going to see the correspondence. The Trinity is the threefold aspect of the fire and its core: Mother, Father, or Brahma, Son, or Vishnu, the Holy Spirit, and Shiva, which means these principles of the Trinity. Mother, Father, Brahma, Son is creating, and the Holy Spirit or Shiva is destroying or regenerating. This threefold aspect feels the matter at all planes, and we can apply to 3 key points. First of all is the continuity, the infinite duration which coexists with the space and the original indestructible matter, Brahma, Mother, Father, or silence. Number 2 is the one eternal element or space beyond dimensions, Sun, Vishnu, or sound. You see, it is completely different. All these 3 key points which we're talking about. And number 3 is perpetual movement or the breath of a single element, the absolute movement, because breathing never stops, even during the eternities of Pralaya. So the Holy Spirit, Shiva, or hearing. The first reflects or merges with number 2 and number 3. We can see the sound out of the silence. Number 2 merges to first and 3. The silence merges to hearing and silence, and number 3 merges to 1 and 2, and then they get the one. The shape, the logos, always manifests through word, and the word is God. HPP writes that the infinite duration it never stops, it's ceaseless, and out of the voice of silence we refer to this material. What is the voice of silence? Where was the silence? We should have referred to this work, and in this book, The Voice of Silence, all 7 states of sound are described. We were interested in looking into correspondence with the 7 races, 7 bodies of the human. So we can apply this correspondence as the following. Elena Petrovna writes, then only can you become the heavenly wanderer, the one who tramples down the winds, rusting over the waters and does not touch the waters with feet. As you remember, it is the one who manifested the 7th aspect of its aura or spirit, Jesus Christ, who could walk on the water. This mystery has a real scientific foundation in the Secret Doctrine. Then Elena Petrovna gives us the 7. First of all, before you follow the path of the mystical science, the mystical sounds, you should hear the 7 distinctions or 7 bodies. The first is the symbol of space, Saturn, and it is like the sweet voice of a nightingale singing a farewell song to her friend. And this faith, we should say goodbye to the faith on this plane, in the Saturn, in this energy. Why? Because in this synthetic thought, we have to develop trust. And this is different. Faith and trust are different, and we have to merge it and go forward. Then we meet the sound number 2. Second sounds like a silver symbol of an unearthly spirit awakening the twinkling of stars. The third, the next one, is like the melodic lament of the spirit of the oceans captivated in its shell. The vigilance of the soul, it corresponds to the ether double the symbol of sun. Imagine how the dot inside the circle of the voice of silence corresponds to the soul, the vigilance of the soul described by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Next one, it is followed by the singing of the lute, concentration of the mind, the Jupiter, the fourth principle of the lower manas. But then we see this, that the concentration of the mind on the sound leads to the fifth. It will penetrate you like the sound of a bamboo flute, or the mind, Venus. Here we achieve the wisdom, and by merging number 5 and number 6, we see the Mercury, which corresponds to beauty or wisdom. We attain the wisdom here. It will turn into a trumpet sound. The trumpet invites us to the beauty vibration, to the sixth principle. It will turn into a trumpet sound. The Mercury, here we only have the seventh. It will go, the latter will sweep by like a draft crumble over thundercloud. The seventh will absorb all other sounds. They will die, they will no longer be heard. And here we see the sevenfold state where everything is diluted and merged, and the sound of silence occurs. Here we can see, according to the planes, how the Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Sun, Moon, Saturn are dispatched. Here is the scheme. So where was the silence? Where were ears to sense it? No, there was neither silence nor sound. Here we see the seventh spirit of Pralaya, which absorbed all the sounds, and they died, and they are no longer heard. When your personality is won over before the feet of the master, then the student becomes merged with the one, and its sound, its voice merges with the voice of the master, and the voice of silence is heard. Then the truth radiates in silence. So the second stanza, second sloka, describes the state of potential strength, which corresponds to the seventh spirit of Pralaya, seventh individual aura or spirit, and seventh principle in the human being. The seventh principle is self-awareness, self-consciousness, or immortality. The one who became self-conscious may sense the voice of silence and accept the radiance of wisdom. Yelena Ivanovna Rerik provides us with the prayer. By the name of Christ, by the name of Solomon, by the name of Biomet, by the name of great masters and prophets, by the name of brotherhood, heaven and earthly, accept those you desire for, not to harm, but to understand the light. Being washed by the light, the wonder and radiance of the truth. Here are the answers to the questions in the stanza. Then, where was silence? Where the ears to sense it? No, there was neither silence nor sound, not save ceaseless eternal breath, which knows itself not. Thank you very much for following the animation and certain ideas and thoughts that we've shared in our today's lecture. Vladimir Vasilyevich, the floor is yours. Yes, thank you. I would just like to add the central thought of this second stanza, second sloka. This meditation brings everyone of us, everyone who is looking to cognize, looking for self-awareness, we are brought to the point that never the one who goes from universal to particular never makes this analogy from universal to particular. this person will never get into addiction. And here I would like to add a point that when we think by this way from universal to particular, from general to specific, this person cannot be led into illusion, into mistake. This person will always follow what can be cognized by the human consciousness, the absolute, is impossible. And it isn't real. In this case, this person will always stay humble and will never get into illusion that he knows everything, he knows himself. Thank you very much for your questions. We've got quite a few of them. Let us try to ponder on them, to think about them, or the comments that our participants wrote to us. Second sloka, second stanza, tell us about potentiality of consciousness or potentiality of mind. Very good question. Well, if we're talking about what is consciousness and what is mind, and we know the difference between the state of consciousness and state of mind, because there are different kinds of mind. It has different attributes. It has dual, it is potential, it is real, it has 3 lights or aspects, it is sevenfold, etc., as well as consciousness. Hence, today we talked about the key point of the sloka, which is the clarification and explanation, manifestation of real strength. The potential strength contains all kinds of potentialities. Potentialities of mind, potentialities of divine mind, absolute mind, of intelligence, lower and higher manners, etc. So if we consider from this point of view and we take the key point as a basis, we will understand what was it about. There is something bigger that contains everything. That's why the second sloka, second stanza, does not talk about the potentiality of mind or consciousness. It talks about the potentiality of strength. Question number 2, please. Vladimir Vasilovich, where is the prototype of the future universe? Where is it? The prototype of the future universe is as Parabrahman under the veils of Mula Prakriti, or the circle with the dot inside, the symbol which conveys the state of pre-eternity. When we know what is universe and its manifestation, it's the sun or the light, which illuminated everything, which gave this real strength, turned it into real strength. This universe appeared. Then we understand that the prototype of the future universe is where all other prototypes are, on the plane of prototypes. Everything is there. And the prototype of this universe, next universe, and prototype of the future sun. The next question, the eternal breath. This eternal breath, which knows itself not. It's because it does not have any consciousness. Why it does not know itself? Because there is no mind. Because it is absolute. The absolute, as I've mentioned, we cannot cognize it. It is useless to try to cognize the absolute. Starting from the second stanza, second sloka, we talk about, as a matter of fact, of the essence of the mind, the essence of it. Do you understand? This is everything, and everything is uncognizable. It's the white disk on the black background. This is it. In the question itself, there is the answer already. The mind, when it occurs when we have the object, the subject, and whatever can be divided by. But the eternal breath is the state where there is nothing that could divide it. It hasn't occurred yet. No subject, no object. That's why it does not know itself. There is no consciousness. Because there was no division. There was Mahapralaya, seventh period. That's it. And the second question, there was a very interesting point. Where is the prototype of the future universe? Because there is ceaseless eternal breath. The person who asked merged the eternal breath and indestructible breath and the future universe. The ceaseless eternal indestructible breath is higher on the planes of Genesis, and the prototype is lower. It is the fourth state, the form of the Brahmanic radiance, when all the forms, all the shapes start to merge in one unique essence, the four-faced God. There we have the prototype, and the indestructible, ceaseless, eternal breath, we are talking about the absolute, is the first plane of the spirit beyond all forms. That's why they are not merged, and they do not influence one another in this perspective. As far as I understood, you wanted to ask for. Another question, the Arhat's mind, is it limited? Vladimir Vasilyevich, you are welcome. It is limited and it is unlimited. It is limited by the cycle and not limited in its capacities. Yelena Petrovna, in the Secret Doctrine, answers this question. She tells about the heart of Arhat, about the state of Arhat, etc. What is understood under the form of physical manifestation? And nowadays, many people talk about Arhat and they think about something different. If you're talking about the Secret Doctrine, the higher aspects of what Yelena Petrovna was talking about, then we say that Arhat has this limitless state of mind. It is free. As soon as the person becomes Arhat, he achieves the freedom, and any freedom cannot be limited. Any limit is the absence of freedom. If we follow the Secret Doctrine postulates, this is what Yelena Petrovna tells us about. Because nowadays, many in the internet, for example, so we can go to Google and type in Arhat in the search engine, and you will see so many ideas, whether it is limited or unlimited, and what it is and what it is not. But if you follow the primary source, if you follow the source, we know what it is about and what cycles it is about and which slokas we're talking about. The last question is the following. If we merge our conscious with the silent witness in us, could you explain us what it is? You go ahead. Well, I guess it was about the key points that we've mentioned when we were looking for the exact forms and ideas on schemes, and we were defining the similarities to concretize or help grasp the truth. We were talking about the silence, about the state of the person who becomes the witness. Whatever was told to us by the masters in Agni Yoga and the Secret Doctrine, the aim, our aim, is become Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens appeared, but we are not self-aware yet. The fourth state still corresponds to the animal spirit, the lower manas. It has to be illuminated by the light of the higher manas. And when they merge, only then we can talk that we achieved any target. It is the state of the sixth race which will be put here, right? Then we will see the master and the student become the one in the sixth state. And the seventh race is so subtle, so merged with all the principles that they disappear in its subtleness, in its incredible purity, and the humanity will leave the earth. This is how the human evolution happened. Thank you very much, dear friends, for being today with us, for your active work, for your questions according to the materials of the Secret Doctrine. Please share your revelations, your insights, your thoughts, your comments. We are waiting for you at our seminars at the Secret Doctrine Scientific Research Group, the 24th of September. You will see the international speakers who will share their insights and lectures on the Secret Doctrine. There will be Professor Oh Hang Wang from the South Korea, Bridget Tucking, the Blavatsky Lodge, France, Paris, and you'll be able to see Mr. Ram Prakash, the United Lodge of India, Bangalore, and of course we will be presenting our materials as well. And the conclusions, the seminar will be very interesting. The 24th of September, stay tuned. We also invite you all to participate in the international Theosophic competitions, contests devoted to Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. As you know, on the 26th and 27th of November, there will be International Congress in Nizhny Novgorod, and all the contests that are socially important today and that were announced in Russia and in the world, they have its manifestations. Poetic contest, art contest, children contest of art and drawings. And today we launched a new project, is musical contest devoted to Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Right now, after the seminar, you will be able to get acquainted with the promo videos. Please participate, share information to your friends, relatives, those who are interested, those who are looking for, those who aspire to the clear mind and clear consciousness. Thank you very much for the time that you devoted to us, and I wish you illumination, happiness. I wish you all the most important thing, love each other. Dear friends, please stay with us, get acquainted with the videos that were made especially for you, and those who didn't have time to share your questions, or maybe you will have a question right now, questions that might have occurred during the analysis of the second stanza, second sloka. Please do share them now or after the seminar. Write to our email. The address will be shown at the end of seminar. We'll be happy to communicate. We'll be happy to stay tuned. See you soon. Light and love to all of you. Goodbye.
Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Dedicated to all true Theosophists. Book of the Third Millennium.
Blavatsky only knew.